Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
I'm very anxious to have our listeners understand what integrative medicine is, and also to have a person who not only does integrative medicine, but anti-aging medicine. So I'm going to welcome to our show Dr. Brazelia Lazzari. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Brazelia. And you're here in Boca Raton. How long have you been doing I call it the art of medicine, actually.
It is an art. Actually, I've been in medicine for about 15 years now. I've been lecturing quite a bit for longer than that with physicians of different disciplines. So I just love this realm of medicine, integrative medicine, which is now the new paradigm. It's the shift of medicine, collaborating conventional and holistic medicine combined, which is nice.
Yeah, it's very important, too, because a lot of people, for years, either they did one thing or they did the other, right? And you had your traditional physicians poo-pooing everything.
Right.
And then you had the other people who were like up in woo-woo land, right? So what made you take this on this way?
Initially, believe it or not, it was the onset of diabetes type 1 for my son, who was just turning 9 years old at the time. And I was going to FAU in the pre-professional program, and he just routed my course. I wanted to really find an approach that would help him more holistically. When I was at the hospitals with him, a lot of the nutritionists were really giving great advice as far as nutrition is concerned. So he just kind of sped my way, and I've been in the holistic realm for some time, but now really bringing it to integrative medicine, which I've been for the last couple of years. It's nice because the whole point of integrative medicine is it's more of a patient-centered approach, which is nice. It really puts that interaction between the physician and the patient. And I love that because oftentimes today, when you're going to a conventional doctor, what do they typically do? Give you a medication. And I respect Western medicine. My son needs insulin, so we respect it. However, there's a fine tune with that. Your body's a diagnostic tool. And how is the patient going to understand what's going on with them, and how are they going to also facilitate their own, restoration? So that's what I love about integrative medicine. And we also do functional medicine in the practice as well, which is the highest grade of medical nutraceuticals on the market.
So is that what the discussion of functional medicine? I've heard that more and more, and that's when you're taking nutraceuticals and mixing it with their needs? Yeah,
so it's just a combination. Let's say someone is coming in for a thyroid condition, I'm just throwing that one out there, hypothetically speaking, they may need a thyroid medication such as, Nature-Throid or Armor or Synthroid. However, there's another balance to that. The thyroid needs some supplements that are very nurturing to the thyroid, selenium being one of them. So functional medicine is an adjunct to the actual medication. Now, do you always need medication? Not necessarily. So that's where functional medicine is nice, because it bridges the gap so that you do have something that's nurturing whatever it is that we're working with without the medication. We all know that medication has primary, secondary, and tertiary effects. And so some of the functional medicine really is nice because we don't get all those effects, and we're really helping to really address the need of whatever it is that we're working with.
That's excellent. So I've been dreaming of something like this for many, many years, of knowing that the practitioners now will expand. And I think back about my mother, who was she watched everything she ate many, many years ago when her sister said, "We're going to eat margarine." She said, "No, I'm not eating margarine, I'm eating butter." And she was very careful about everything. So I grew up in a world where even my father was eating soy when no one even understood what soy was. So finding a doctor, especially a female doctor too, is just brilliant. And I'm sure that your patients appreciate you. I guess my question, though, is you have to do a lot of research to really understand this, don't you?
Yes, there's definitely a lot of work involved in it. It's one of the, believe it or not, I was a radio frequency engineer in corporate. It's like, dichotomy, two different worlds. But yes, you're right. I was a professional student for the longest, just because it was so much to really know every aspect of the body, but more so really how to treat it. So, food is thy medicine. we do quite a bit of lab work in our office because I want to get down to the physiology. What's going on inside that body? Let's get to the root cause. So the lab work that we do is very intensive. You're talking about 16 to 18 pages of lab work. We do food intolerance tests because we want to eliminate the foods that are causing issues in our body, that are aging us, that are creating all this inflammatory state in our body.
I'm going to stop you. Give me an example of something like that, please.
So we use a particular food exam that we draw your blood. It takes about a week to get back to us, and what they're showing is the foods that your body's intolerant to. So when we look at intolerance, we're looking at IgG. So this is an immunoglobulin that if you're eating something, you have a delayed reaction. Your onset may be a migraine, inflammation, digestive issues, you name it. So what we do, this particular test, finds out exactly what those foods are, and we eliminate those foods. And then we put them on a rotation so there's no threshold of any other occurrences in the body, and it makes a huge difference. Patients that, don't even know they have celiac disease or they have gluten intolerance, we eliminate all those foods. It's amazing how well they become afterward, and that's just one test that we offer.
And so what if you have a patient that doesn't show signs of anything, and then you do this anyway, and then you find things maybe that just make them feel better?
Yeah, so we look at so that's when someone first comes in to me, there's an initial intake, and there's some forms that they that they sign that give me all their symptomology. So based on what they're telling me, their symptomology, I'm also looking at the color of their skin, their eyes, how they're walking towards me. I'm already assessing a little bit of what their story is going to be. And then I'll look at the symptomology, and from there I'll assess, well, this is basically the test that I would recommend for you. We do Micronutrient Panel. If I look at your tongue and it's very pale, there's micronutrients. I can tell that there's deficiencies there. So just based on those things, and that's, again, the part of the course of training, studying, to really assess diagnostically how the body is interpreting what's going on with them internally.
So my guest is Dr. Brazelia Lazzari.
Lazzari.
And she's exciting. I love this. I'm so happy that she was able to join us today. So let's just let's look in the back of your card. It has so many things.
Yeah.
And what would you say is the most important that you do for someone? You have a new patient. They come in. And what would you really tackle first?
So essentially, when I look at the entire intake, there's so much, and I have to say, okay, well, let's break this down so that we can fine-tune, work on the core, and then we work our way from there. So I'll put things into protocols or phases with my patients. So for instance, what I'm really honing in on is your gut, because essentially that's your immune system. Good percentage of your neurotransmitters in your brain are produced in your gut. So that's that biofeedback system. So if I'm trying to work on in an area, the first area I'm going to work on is that, and then I'll start breaking everything down from there. So going to functional medicine in that capacity, we'll do some gut repair, we'll do some probiotics, some digestive enzymes, and the like to facilitate that whole aspect of healing the gut. Because there's leaky gut, there's Crohn's, there's IBS, there's so many GI issues today. And that's really a big part of what's going on within the body, because it sends inflammatory markers to other parts of the body. And we do IV therapy as well, which is the Myers cocktail.
The IV therapy. Go ahead, explain that, please.
It's an infusion of all the good vitamins. So it was named after Dr. Myers, and he discovered that there is a collective group of vitamins and minerals that our body naturally produces, but become deficient. So we restore the body via an IV. So it's a saline drip with these vitamins in there. And what it does is it restores the body rather quickly because it's systemic. It bypasses the gastric system. So your body's getting the delivery of all these nutrients.
I'm just sitting here. I'm sitting here with my mouth open because it's really very, very exciting what you're doing.
Thank you.
So if someone comes in with, let's say, for instance, high blood pressure, so rather than give them the pills, you're first going to figure out what you can do to get the blood pressure down. I guess you're almost a psychologist in a way, aren't you?
Yeah.
And also looking at your body, you certainly exercise, and I'm sure you tell every patient exercise, right? Even 10 minutes exercise.
I do. Just with integrity, if I'm going to, sit before you and tell you this is a lifestyle, a great lifestyle to adapt, I too should be of that caliber, so that you can see, yes, I'm living, breathing everything that I'm talking about. And that's really important for me. And then with respect to, any of the high blood pressure, that's, a very sensitive area. We also have liaisons with other doctors that we work with. So if I see, if we take the blood pressure and we look at other parameters, at heart markers, lipid markers, if I see that they're really above a certain level, then that's when we'll, refer out to a cardiovascular doctor. However, it's within, a nice area where we can work with it, then there's, nice supplementation and things that we can also work with as well with that patient.
And you mentioned the word inflammation. It seems like that's something very new. No one ever said, well, I have inflammation and that's why I'm having these problems.
Yeah, it's really a core of what goes on within the body. Every time we eat something that isn't right for us, our body will produce inflammation. That's why you get a distended gut. It'll also start producing antibodies because it's your body saying, I'm rejecting what this is. We're not breaking it down properly. So now this is almost like, an invader in the body. So now we're triggering the immune system. Then it just cascades into a cycle of other ailments, and then it becomes this entire GI disruption. So yes, inflammation can be the cause of many, many things in the body.
And you probably have a variety of ages who come into you. You talked about your son having diabetes, and of course having the diabetes number 1 is nothing you can really do about it. Again, you just do keep him as healthy as you can.
Yes, and that's where functional medicine comes in. There's a lot of supplements. Alpha lipoic acid is amazing to help regulate blood sugars. Fenugreek, bitter melon. There's so many different supplements that will certainly help to basically stabilize blood sugars, because that's what we're looking for. So yes, they have their insulin. He has an insulin pump, which is kind of regular, and it gives him basal rates. But throughout the day, you also want to give natural supplements to help with, maintaining those blood sugars, because you don't want them to be high or you don't want them to be low. So there's, a whole range. And when you ask, I worked with babies all the way to my eldest. I think she's about 92 now. And with children, especially with ADHD, that's a big, big area. Kids need to really have proper nutrition. The supplementation is huge for them. Huge for them. We put them on great so we have a company that basically makes brain food. And so we put them on nice brain supplementation liquids, and they love it, and they get better.
Brain food.
Yes. That's what they call it. It's functional medicine, but we call it brain food.
Compared to feeding all those terrible medications that really we know now has really created something very, very bad that's in a lot of these kids, and they've lived with that.
It wreaks havoc, and then it certainly comes up later on in life where there's, addictions and things of that nature. It's quite sad when you look at the trend and the progression from a child that's put on a medication very early in life, until to adulthood.
Yeah, well, you're so wonderful talking to you. I'm so glad. And so Dr. Brazelia Lazzari is located here in Boca Raton. Let's give them your phone number, how they can get in touch with you.
My number is 561-353-2265.
And you're located in actually in the Royal Palm Plaza area?
Right. We're in Royal Palm Plaza, and our address is 101 Plaza Real South, Suite G as in George, and that's in Boca Raton in the Royal Palm Plaza. And it's on the same block as Chops Lobster House and Lemongrass Restaurant.
Oh, those great places, right? Just walk by them.
Exactly.
And also, how about a website?
Sure. So it's BrazeliaMedSpa.com. So that's BrazeliaMedspa.com. BrazeliaMedSpa.com.
And when you say that it's a med spa, use the word spa. Now, can people come there and get massages? And they can. Let's talk about all your services.
That's a whole nother aspect.
Okay.
We're a medical office with all the spa features. So the spa features would be the facials, the massage therapy. We offer acupuncture. We do quite a bit with radio frequency devices. We have a new with women's health. We have a device that helps with urinary incontinence and urinary tract infection. So we really restore the laxity in that area for both men and for women. Yeah. So it's just what we do is we go with the sign of the times and the trends. We have to, just like electronics, medicine is the same thing. Something that came out today may be old tomorrow, and and we're looking at what's new tomorrow. So there's just so many different trends, and I really try to keep up with the latest trends.
So when you first started practicing, what was the life like? And now, I mean, I can see what it's like now, but what was it when you first started practicing?
It was different. It was unique. I was probably one of the first in the area to have that integrative approach. And the reason why I adopted it is because when I was, my son was diagnosed, was one doctor, I had one test, or another doctor, another test, and I had all these different tests from all these different doctors and not one person to put it together for me. So this was, my son's 25 now. So
you didn't tell me.
he's 25 now.
Wow.
So we've been through this, for a number of years, and I said, wow, I would love to go to one office that can deliver quite a bit of information and just explain it all under one umbrella, hence the birth of, my practice.
And of course, as one ages, and now we're seeing so many people. I mean, my husband passed away a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago, and he was 93, and he was in great health. But we're seeing this. In fact, my grandson, who lives in Michigan, his grandmother is 101.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful.
Right. And my mother lived to be 95, and my grandmother lived to be 95.
You have longevity.
So, yeah, but you see about it. But whether they really had the best health or not, I mean, they lived. But now someone could go to your office, your spa, and they really could plan on living even longer.
Absolutely.
But in good health.
In good health, right. And that's just being, having the capacity of knowing what to eat, what to take as far as supplementation. Exercising is very, very important.
Well, let's go to exercising. Let's talk about that because obviously you exercise. So when you have a patient, how do you motivate that person to exercise, and what kind of exercises do you suggest? So
again, we start off with the lab work because it's important when someone comes into me, no matter what is going on. Obviously, if they're coming in for the spa features, we don't have to do the lab work. But if they're coming in for the medical aspect, I want them to see. And that's where that patient interactive approach comes in. Because if I tell them, okay, this is what you need to do, that's in one ear and out the other sometimes. And their compliance is very low. But if they see that this is their name and this is their lab work and these markers are super high and can be certainly, quite dangerous to their health, they're going to be sure to make advances to figure out how to repair that. So again, that's through diet and through exercise. And within our practice here, I'm a CrossFitter. So I love to do CrossFit.
I can see that I didn't know what kind of exercise you do. And have you always been doing exercise?
Yes, I've always been an advocate of exercise. I come from parents that were in the karate, the world of, the martial arts. They were black belts. And so I did that for a number of years. So I was always an athlete. And so I love that. It just, it's really, I feel invigorated when I exercise. But with the patients, I'll refer different ones. So we have a gym that's in the corner from our area, or we have private coaches, whatever their, schedule permits, we'll refer that out to them and really make that a priority in someone's life.
And so they come to you, and then, of course, you must have a schedule. Then you re-examine them.
Yes.
And you show them the progress that they're making. And so it does take motivation, but I can see you're quite a motivator.
I am. I'll give them affirmation cards. We work together. Yes, because you're right. In life, we're so busy. There's so many things going on. You're trying to make a schedule out of this amount of time. But when I tell them, listen, and that's why I show them, this is your health and you're number one. None of those other things mean anything if you're not healthy. So when you need to just kind of bring it home a little bit for them, and I'll give them an affirmation and rewire the brain a little bit so they can think a little differently. And it really, really goes a long way. That's why I've been in practice for so long. When a patient comes in, we treat them like family. Oftentimes when they go to a doctor's office, it's very sterile, and they're in and out. No, we want to give them the time. We want to listen to what their needs are, really help. That's for me a reward, because we retest in 3 months. So we can see what they were like and their progress. So we can see exactly what's going on in their body.
Right, and I can see where you're quite a motivator. So, and how many people do you actually have working in your spa?
So we have about 10 altogether, and they're there in different times. We have 2 MDs on staff. I have a DO on staff, a nurse practitioner, a physician assistant, 2 medical massage therapists, and 2 medical estheticians as well, an acupuncturist.
Oh my goodness! So you have a very large spa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, so everybody needs to get over there.
And we do take health insurance for the medical procedures, or lab work and things of that nature.
Right. So that's great. But if someone comes here, though, you have the supplementation that you will sell to them,
yes,
so that they don't have to go somewhere else, because that's the other problem we know now with medications and also with supplements coming from China and all other places. It's quite dangerous. You don't even know what to do.
That's why I love functional medicine. Functional medicine is governed. White paper on every product that says the efficacy is what it is. It's free of soy, wheat, yeast, all those fillers. There's no, extra fillers in there. So it's a very clean, very pure product. And we have a full retail center. So when you come in, you see the entire retail right in front of you.
Well, if I didn't have my doggie with me, I would run over there right after, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to get over to you maybe after my show.
Great.
On Saturday morning, but it's now, what are your hours? That was the other thing I was going to ask you.
We're
you open?
Yeah, we're open Tuesday through Saturday. Tuesday through Friday, we're open 10 to 6, and on Saturday, 10 to 2, and sometimes we're closed depending if we do shows, because I do a lot of expos and shows, so the whole team will come out.
So you do expos and shows, and what do you do there at the expos and shows?
Like last weekend, we had the Mind Body Expo. It was fantastic. It was held at the Old Delray Square. So we just have a booth like everyone else, and we're just basically selling our products there or lecturing. I lecture quite a bit at different expos. Yeah, so depending on the venue.
Well, that's interesting. We have a Boomer Expo over at the Seminole. We've been having it there. We're on our 22nd one. So
nice.
I have to get you. I didn't have
Sure.
I could see how that would really work. But, a lot of people are not ready for this, unfortunately. I can see where you're still out kind of working your way through this, because a lot of people just say, just give me a pill. I don't need to know about all this. It's too much work, right?
Right. Yes, we do have that approach, but that's where education comes in, and I'm really showing them. I have charts and graphs, and I tell them, this is your life. It's not hard, only if you make it hard mentally. Just, align it properly. And when I give them a supplement, I write on the bottle 2 caps AM with food, and I really hold their hand to make it easy. So that transition, and they may resist in the very beginning, but after they see how well they're feeling, they always are compliant.
Well, I have to let everybody know that we are very excited to have Brazelia coming to our Cure Symposium, which is going to be on Saturday, April the 20th, over at Florida Atlantic University. So you'll be able to meet her and hear her there talking about a lot of things that she's been talking about, but even other things too. So we're hoping that everybody listening will come to meet you, because you're quite charming and besides being beautiful and smart.
Thank you.
But what I like about you is you seem very caring, that everybody, because you said something that was very important, that about the current medical professions. They're so, there are a lot of them in HMOs, and a lot of other things have happened, and their time is so limited. So you go in there, and the worst thing, and I'm sure if I went to your spa, I'd see it. You don't have the glass up there.
No.
Someone walks in, you don't know if you're supposed to knock on the glass or sit down. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, we're all open. You come in, you have a live person there. There's no windows, there's no barriers.
And have you been at that location the whole time?
Yeah, 12 years we've been at that location.
That's great, because I've been here in Boca for a long time, and that Royal Palm area is very, very hot now.
Yeah.
In fact, Saturday mornings they
area.
have the little market,
Yes,
the green
they
market.
do. Mm-hmm.
You buy fresh.
Yes, I love the market. I get in earlier to go to the market.
I'm sure you would, because that's all the kinds of things. So I was going to ask you, it's very personal, but give me kind of a sample of what you have to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Sure.
Okay,
So,
sure.
For breakfast, I'll have my protein shake. I'll do some celery juice, because celery juice really helps with metabolism first thing in the morning.
Celery juice. You mean you take celery and juice it?
And juice it.
And that's it? Nothing else in there?
That's it. Celery juice.
Okay.
And then I'll have that with some electrolytes. I'll go work out. Then I'll come back and have my protein shake. And I'll throw some spinach in there and some hemp and some other supplements in there. And then for lunchtime, I'll typically have a piece of protein and some veggies, so a piece of salmon or a chicken breast and some veggies. And then about the same thing for dinner. I'll maybe do some couscous and some veggies. I love veggies. And then I'll drink water throughout the day. And if I wanted to have a snack, I'll do an apple or an orange. Don't get me wrong. When we go on weekends, and maybe I'll splurge a little and have some dessert, because you have to enjoy quality of life too. You could be the healthiest person and, God forbid, not enjoy anything and something happens to you.
Of course.
So there's moderation to it.
So you talked about water. Now that's an interesting drink, that a lot of people don't drink enough water, and yet you can get water from your fruit and from your vegetables and other things. So how much water? And what does it if you don't drink enough water? Tell us what happens and how much water should one drink?
So our body's made up, 70 to 80% water. So it's crucial for us. And water is necessary for many, many facilities in the body. It's great for energy, for bowel movement. And in order to find out exactly what one's body should be having, you take their weight and you divide that by 2. That'll give you the amount of ounces that you need per day. And then you just divide that by a 16-ounce bottle of water. So I know exactly how much water a patient should be drinking. But it's important because if they're drinking that amount of water and they're still having some edema or some swelling, that means it's not going in intracellularly. That water's sitting extracellularly. So what I will give them is some electrolytes to bring that water inside the cells to facilitate all the other processes that the body does need.
And so that's a lot of water to drink, though. Let's say.
Perfect for somebody's, it's basically what the body weight requires.
Okay, but can we substitute water for fruit or other kinds of liquid?
Sure. So you can combine that entire ounce, whatever those ounces are for you, in whether it's going to be water, tea, fluids of, vegetables or fruits, things of that nature.
So I see. Well, this is to get into 1 hour show, all this you can imagine. So we hope you're going to come to our Cure Symposium and hear Dr. Lazzari. And I have to tell you that I have spoken to you. I heard about you, but I never knew it would be this good.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for making the time to come here. And we'll see you on Saturday, April the 20th. And we hope all our listeners also.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure.